you. This is more technical, it's more for Apex guys, and I hope the Apex guys that like to hack the interactive grid can appreciate some of what we did here. I know many of you have used this guide, I've used it, and thanks for, to whoever John Snyder is, I don't know him personally, but I've used this guide for a long time, but I ran into a lot of issues when, it came to security around the hackings we did with the interactive grid. So I just figured I created a few plugins. They're not published yet, but they're soon to be published in the apex.world website. It's 2 plugins. I don't know if you guys noticed this button over here. It says click me, which is invoking the most expensive plugin we've ever built, the confetti. Many hours of work by Kevin, so kudos to Kevin. It's actually amazing. So anyways, many of you have hacked the interactive grid, I'm sure, with the JavaScript initialization code. So what I did is, I just created a item type plugin. Oh, here it is. It's the interactive grid plugin. I made it as declarative as I could, just to make it easier for our developers to reuse it. It supports, putting a label, turning on and off the icon, making it hot, showing icon only. The most important thing that I think this thing helps us is the positioning of the button. As you guys know, the positioning is kind of quirky right now, so sorry, Apex team, you gotta fix that and make it better eventually. But for now, you can use this plugin, so you can place it whatever you want. So basically, if I want to move the button from right next to the reset button to, let's say, right next to the actions button, I can just change that declarative action. Sorry, I got rid of my label. So save that. So the button moved from here over here, right? So shows that cool confetti. So everything is declarative, and I think the most important piece, and I know this is not impressive, it's just a bunch of declarative options, but I think what's most important is the functionality behind it, right? Security. With this plugin or this type of solution, because with the extension framework that plugins enable Apex, you can build it yourself, but the authorization scheme usage is the most important part. For us, with a client, we needed to put some of the options maybe put on the interactive grid behind some security, and hacking the interactive grid with JavaScript was not secure enough, right? Even though if you hit stuff on the front end, the JavaScript was still there. So with this, if you use a authorization scheme or a condition, that content doesn't even get to the browser. So it's fully secure, and you can still have the interactive grid. And we did not stop there. We built a row actions plugin. So I added 2 extra options here. Do something, which does something, and a don't click me. And I want to show this one over here. The way we built this is just as plugins for columns, if that makes sense. So I have these do something, don't use me, and can't see me. The can't see me is actually interesting. You can't see it, right? But that's by design. So what I wanted to show with this one is, I figured that sometimes based on the data on a specific row, you want to make an option on the row conditionally to show. And that was one of the use cases we had. So I built in a little bit of a declarative ability for you to provide some JavaScript expression where you have access to the data on the row, or an item on the page, or whatever you want. So right now I'm just basing my logic to show or not that hidden option based on an item with a value, right? And it's actually evaluated every time I try to click on the row actions for that row. So if I change this to show, right, it's going to show right here. So you were not supposed to see that. And I'm not doing a page refresh or anything. That's just the interactive grid hacking that I did with the JavaScript. So if I click on hide, it's not there anymore. And the same logic applies for the disable. So you can disable an option. So from a UX perspective, you may have an option that you don't want a user to click immediately based on rules or logic. So you can build that in JavaScript as well, right? Let's say you put a similar approach for that. So the main thing, I think the biggest 3 takeaways that we tried to do here was make it declarative. For our developers internally, it's easy to use. They can just install the plugin and declare most of the options. If there's something here that we haven't done, isn't really it's the 20% of the time. The 80% of the time, I think, is here. You either want to add an option to the raw actions or a button that shows nice. Otherwise, it will show out here, and all you guys know will struggle with that button. So Apex team, please fix that region placement. But yeah, I mean, this is it. There's 2 plugins, actually 3 plugins, right? The other one is built by Kevin. We're going to publish those on Apex Work, and they're just easy to use. Actually, one more. The separator. I don't know if you guys noticed that I made my buttons to be on their own section down here, aside from the out-of-the-box option for the raw action. So there's just one separator plugin. Where I can change the setting from a separator or something that actually does an action. Sorry, I said one more thing. There's yet one more thing. You can leverage all the actions that come out of the box with the interactive grid. As you may know, there's a bunch of declarative actions. So with the button itself, if you just put the action here, like row something delete, I don't remember what it is, but you can look it up in the interactive grid documentation. It will actually invoke that action that comes out of the box with the interactive grid. So there you go. I mean, if you're trying to hack the interactive grid, there's 3 or 4 plugins that are very easy to use. I try to make them, very don't make me think way, if that makes sense. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoy them when we publish them, and there you go.